was first introduced in the Botanic Gardens at Entebbe, Uganda in 1909, but commercial cultivation didn't begin until the late 1920s, when an investor, Brooke Bond, began extensive planting. With its temperate climate and rich soil, Uganda grows some of the world's top-quality tea. But in the 1970s, tea production nearly stopped due to warfare, economic upheaval, and the government's expulsion of many Asians who at the time owned tea estates. In the early 1980s, British businessman and entrepreneur Michel Coates returned to Uganda and formed the Toro and Mityana Tea Company, Tametco, a joint venture with the government. This move increased tea production from 1,700 tons in 1981 to 5,600 tons in 1985, yet production was far less than the peak amount of 22,000 tons in 1974, and even began to decline again slightly after 1985. In an effort to expand tea production, the government doubled prices paid to producers in 1988, but it did little to increase production amounts, with only about a tenth, or 2,100 acres of the total 21,000 acres of tea fully productive, with 4,600 tons of tea produced in 1988 to 1989 season. By the end of 1989, tea production rose to 6,900 tons, of which 4,700 were exported, earning about $3.6 million. To meet an ever-growing demand, the government hoped to increase tea production to about 10,000 tons by 1991. Tea is traditionally Uganda's third largest agricultural export commodity by value. Evidence shows that on average, 93% of tea products are exported while 7% is consumed domestically. Statistics indicate that Uganda earns $72 million from exporting 63,456 tons of tea cultivated on 35,194 hectares. This represented 2.8% of Uganda's total exports, 1.26% of global tea exports, and 0.36% of Uganda's gross domestic product. Tea growing is envisioned as a tool to fight poverty through its ability as a source of employment to households, especially in rural areas. The tea sector employs more than 60,000 persons and was an indirect source of livelihood to close to 500,000 Ugandans. The limited initial investment required, combined with the relatively low risk of crop failure, the auxiliary services created around the factories, the steady all-year income, and the market linkages in retail trade, transportation, and consumption have all made tea growing an attractive activity to smallholder farmers. However, tea's lengthy gestation period of 3 years and land ownership have slowed down smallholder reinvestment on tea. Uganda tea is commonly grown on the slopes of Mount Rwenzori and along the crescent of Lake Victoria areas of Bushenyi, Hoima, Kabarole, Kanungu, Chibale, Kisoro, Mbarara, Mukono, Mityana, Rukungiri, and Wakiso. These areas are consistent with tea growing requirements of a temperate climate, with an average precipitation of between 1,000 millimeters and 1,500 millimeters, or not less than 150 days per annum. In the prime tea growing areas, temperatures average from 200 degrees Celsius to 250 degrees Celsius, and have an altitude of over 1,500 meters above sea level, with rich, well-drained fertile soils and soil alkalinity levels of pH 6.
Tea research in Uganda, in fact, was coordinated in the past under the East African Community. But when the East African Community broke down in 1977, tea research virtually stopped until when NARO restarted it recently. So when NARO restarted recently, we have the tea research is under Revitalizing. It is in Rwebitaba station. So we have one of the stations purely dedicated for tea research. And Revitalizing is the one coordinating tea research in Uganda under NARO. So there we have different aspects of tea research. We have agronomy, we have the pathology, we have the entomology, we have soil, we have the biotechnology in tea. There are different aspects of tea research that we are undertaking. And when NARO restarted the tea research in Uganda, we have now up to 278 tea clones that we have in Rwebitaba. Currently, we have already done some biochemical analysis of the tea that we have in Uganda. Over 100 clones already done. We are continuing to do the rest so that we know the composition of the different tea clones in Uganda. And if any farmer needs each clone, we shall be able to give the farmer the clone with all the biochemical composition that is contained in that clone. And that information is very good for also niche marketing, the orders, because some people need the biochemical components and the other ones also need different components depending on the market.
One, tea is the third most income earner for Uganda. It oscillates between coffee and fish. And I said earlier, for the past years, it has contributed between 90 to 104 million US. Now the country has been earning money from tea as Uganda. Two, tea has been able to provide livelihoods to close to 1 million Ugandans. That means out of our population, if only one commodity like this can help people improve their livelihoods, it has really done a good contribution. And this is what has happened. The 1 million people I'm talking about who have benefited directly or improved their livelihoods via tea, they are people who are in tea nursery business. Every 9 to 12 months after a year, they are able to sell their tea seedlings, either to other government agencies like NARO or to other fellow farmers. So people are making money. Two, there are people whom they call pluckers. Those ones earn money every 2 weeks because the state companies employ pluckers, even individual farmers, so that they pluck. Because for tea you pluck every 7 to 14 days. You keep on plucking, and every 2 weeks they are paid money. So they are able to take their kids to school, improve their way of living through tea. So 1 million Ugandans have benefited from this commodity, and economically, as a community around and Uganda at large, it has touched job creation and also bringing in foreign exchange earning.
But tea is very important. It is employing over 1 million people in Uganda, and we have over 33 factories in Uganda now, producing tea. Therefore, tea is a very important commodity for the country and for the household. So we need to do product development in the tea. We do not only need to do the tea just for the sake of table tea and for taking. There are other products apart from that need to be developed. So that is the issue that our tea research is addressing, and also how to do the agronomic practices, the best agronomic practices for tea in Uganda that farmers can adopt, and the fertilizer application rates, we are optimizing them for the farmers. Those are the issues that we are addressing now, and also the diseases that affect the tea. We have some of them that we are working on them. So these are the different challenges that we are addressing as the tea research station in Revitalizing.
So Revitalizing, when it started being operational, it constituted the tea research and development program. And as of 2015, we were able to recruit more scientists. And as of now, tea research, we have 2 breeders. These are the people, scientists, who are working on coming up with the new tea clones, or what people can call varieties in Uganda. And their work simply involves coming up with varieties that are tolerant to the existing conditions. For example, yield. They want to come up with varieties which are high yielding, resistant to drought, pests and diseases. Then we have an agronomist. This one is in charge of looking at how to improve the management. He's doing research on management of tea so that farmers can still realize more yields. Then we have a soil fertility scientist. She's in charge of soil fertility because tea as a crop requires nutrients in the soil. So her research is targeting fertilizer recommendation rates for tea in Uganda. Then we have a pathologist, basically is looking at the tea diseases. And key among them, we have Xylella and Malaria. They are the key diseases which give hard time to our tea. Then we also have an entomologist, is looking at the different tea pests. Remember, for tea, we are interested in the leaves, so is looking at how those pests can be effectively controlled, so that information can be relayed to farmers. We have a scientist who is in charge of value addition. Remember, for tea, to fetch more money, you need to add value to it. I'll talk about it later. Then we have one who is specifically for gender. We want to see how ladies, the youth, can be incorporated into tea as a commodity. Then also lastly, we are looking at the climate. The climate is changing, so we are doing research which is responsive in line to climate.
On the side of opportunities, tea in Uganda is the third leading export earner, and that means it is a valuable export crop which brings in foreign exchange to Uganda. On record for the last few years, it has brought in close to 90 to 104 million US dollars. So because of that opportunity, it prompted the government to revive tea research. Now, when it comes to challenges that precipitated tea research, let's start with tea production constraints.
Farmers who are growing tea in Uganda are facing different challenges. And these are the challenges which precipitated us to come on board to revive tea research. Key among them is the low genetic potential. The varieties we have since 1977 are old varieties, and they are low yielding. That's why we came on board to start breeding work of tea so that we can come up with high yielding tea clones. Number two is the issue to do with the pests. Now, pests attack the leaves, for example, red spider mites and yellow spider mites. Now, these ones reduce the quality of tea. So that's why that challenge also prompted us to go into research. The effect of diseases, I talked about it, Xylella and Malaria. Malaria causes the rotting of the tea. Xylella, the plant dries gradually. So you get gaps within the farmer fields. So the challenge of diseases also prompted us to do research. Then there are challenges of poor seed systems. Farmers don't have clear sources where they can get good improved tea materials. So we are working on that as Revitaba. Then the production costs are so high. We want to come up with labor-saving production technologies as research. All those compounded together, the production constraints, not forgetting agronomy. The issue is to do with spacing. How many tea plants are supposed to be in an acre? How do you pluck to maintain quality? All those issues precipitated us to do tea research in Uganda.
Xylella causes tea wilting and drying of the bushes caused by a species of fungus. Affected plants and bushes occur at random in the plantation, leaving more or less circular patches of wilting or dead plants in bare patches. The affected bushes show signs of mild chlorosis, that is yellowing, and produce smaller leaves than normal. Consequently, the plants wilt and eventually dry up. Armillaria disease is caused by a fungus, Armillaria haemii. The fungus exists in natural tropical forests as a saprophyte and a mild parasite on the roots of many types of trees. Tea plants of all ages are susceptible to this disease. Gradual plant decline by this disease is characterized by yellowing, plant wilting, defoliation, and eventually death. Both Xylella and Armillaria may be controlled and managed by uprooting and disposing of infected plants, removing adjacent trees that may also be infected, removing as many root pieces from soil as possible, digging a trench of 60 by 60 centimeters around infected sites to break root infection. It's helpful to prevent soil movement or water runoff from the infected site, and tools like hose and pangas used in the affected area should not be used in other areas where the disease has been cited. Research has been ongoing to find suitable solutions to the key challenges of drought resistance, yield enhancement, and pests and diseases. But scientists at RZARDI have even more areas they're exploring to ensure that tea maintains and even surpasses its current ranking as the third most valuable cash crop in Uganda.
The good groundbreaking achievement we have done is, for a long time, the farmers were dealing with the tea that they didn't know the content. Now, as a result of our research, the recent research successes, we have been able to characterize the different tea clones according to their biological characteristics and the cup quality, so that everybody, the consumer, the farmers, they know which variety they are dealing with and which variety or the clone has which biochemical properties. And that is very important for the market. The market needs to know, the consumers need to know what they are eating, what they are taking. So we have now that information. And also we are working on one of the diseases that is affecting tea in Uganda, called the Xylella. And also we are already working on it. There are positive signs that shall be able to isolate the pathogens and work on the disease.
For the last 3 decades, Uganda has not been having effective research, but through the government support under MIFE, NARO got money from the ATAS project. That's Agricultural Technology and Advisory Service, Agrobusiness and Advisory Services. Some of the achievements NARO has realized in its research are highlighted by Ronald Kaweya.
Now, for the first time, we have been able to use ATAS funds to revive tea research in Uganda. One of the achievements we have got is right now we know what's in our gene bank. The gene bank, you can equate in layman's language to the bank of money, like Bank of Uganda. Now this gene bank, we have got funding from government, and as far now we can tell that we have 2 different clusters or groups of the tea clones or lines in Uganda. These groups are the ones which breeders use to come up with the new varieties. Remember, in the gene bank you have different lines of tea. So what the breeder simply does, they look at the genetic diversity. They get one line of tea which is resistant to drought, one which is high yielding, they cross them up, we get a good new variety of tea which is giving us good yield and at least tolerant to drought or still tolerant to diseases. So we have achieved a lot in terms of genetic diversity, so we know what's in the gene bank, and we are continuing with this activity across all the tea growing districts in Uganda, so that we know how diverse is our tea, so that we can be able to cross them up, and we are able to address the production challenges farmers are facing. Then too, we have also been able to do research directed towards the biochemical properties of teas we have in Uganda. We have also been able to come up with new prototypes of tea under research. What we have done in Ugandan market, mostly people are looking at black tea. But as NARO, we have started the breeding whereby we are targeting specialized teas. So we have clones from China which can produce green tea. So with the time, farmers will be able to access those clones and make green tea, because green tea is healthy and they can fetch more money. They can diversify and make white tea and other specialty teas. We have tested them here at research station, and they are now going to be rolled out to farmers. We have also been able to identify the pathogens that are causing these diseases, which are causing the drying of tea and the rotting of the tea leaves. The pathology has worked on that. Our entomologist, the one who works on pests, has come up with an experiment whereby he has been able to identify which pesticide can be effective to control the major pests and pests of tea. And then also we have done research on fertilizer recommendations. So far our findings are showing if you apply 60 grams of fertilizer per bush, you can get economical yields. Then we have also been able to come up with dissemination materials. We have come up with several brochures guiding farmers how to handle nursery work in tea, guiding farmers how to establish plantations of tea, guiding farmers how to bring the tea field into bearing, how can you pluck so that you get quality tea. All that information, we have the brochures, leaflets and posters, and we have disseminated them to farmers at different forums during farmer field days, during agricultural shows in Jinja, and also during World Food Days, and any interaction we get with the farmers. The value addition that the business community can look for in tea research, it's now also a bit interesting because the market for tea has been looking at black tea, the majani we put in our tea, in our cups and star. So it's on record that currently 19 billion cups of tea are drunk daily worldwide. So that's already the market. And every Ugandan who takes a cup of tea every morning, you are contributing to that statistics of 19 billion cups of tea. And this is what I'm saying. Besides the black tea which we have been selling, the business community can make a kill of money from specialized teas. For example, green tea. Very few people are venturing into green tea. We import green tea from China at a higher cost, but still people can process green tea using small cottage industries and create employment. That's one niche. Other specialized teas like white teas, they fetch money in serious dollars. We have also purple tea, which with time researchers will get from Kenya and also we improve it here. So the prospect for business people to make money from tea is enormous if they go into specialized teas and they leave black tea, because specialized teas, they have health benefits and they fetch premium price on the world market and also within the country, Uganda.
Green tea has powerful medicinal properties and can assist with depression because it contains theanine, which is an amino acid naturally found in tea leaves. It is this substance that is thought to provide a relaxing and tranquilizing effect. Studies suggest that the chemical antioxidant catechin in tea can destroy bacteria and viruses that cause throat infections, dental caries, and other dental conditions. Green tea apparently helps regulate glucose levels, slowing the rise of blood sugar after eating. This can prevent high insulin spikes and resulting fat storage. Green tea can also help with wrinkles and signs of aging. This is because of their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activities. Both animals and human studies have demonstrated that green tea often reduces sun damage.
Apart from the black tea that people take, tea has many other products that the farmers can get. You can use tea, the tea is a tree, and the tree can produce seeds, and the seeds can be used for oil. The tea can be used, the seeds can be used for making soap, can be used for making lotions, can be used for making polish and other things. So we need to concentrate, the farmers need to concentrate on the different products.
We are aiming at doing tea breeding, coming up with clones that are high yielding. Currently, on average in Uganda, farmers are getting less than 1,000 kilograms of made tea per hectare per year. But our breeding in the future now is focusing on having yields more than 7,000 kilograms of made tea per hectare per year.
We are focusing on finalizing with the biochemical characteristics of the tea. We have done already over 100, and they are up to 278 clones. We want to finish the rest so that all the clones in Uganda, people know the composition of those clones. We are focusing on optimizing the different fertilizer application rates and the regimes so that farmers can get the best advice on when to apply fertilizer and what quantities we want to apply. We want to finish the survey on all the pests and diseases that affect tea in Uganda so that we do not have losses, economic losses from the pests and diseases. And also want to reduce the cost of production this time, because in neighboring countries like Kenya, they have gone mechanical tea plucking. We want to evaluate the mechanical tea plucking compared to the hand plucking, which one is cheaper, so that the farmers can get more money and optimize the plucking regimes and also reduce the cost of plucking.
Tea, according to research firm Consumer Insight, sits under the everyday consumptions category in the hot beverage segment, while green tea and coffee fall under the special occasions drinks. The flavored tea and infusion market was previously dominated by imports from Twinings, Heath and Heather, and London Fruit and Herb, which are now getting stiff competition on the supermarket shelves by local products from Kenyan firms such as Ketepa, with brands like Gold Crown Beverages, Kerita Gold, Ketepa, and Melvin Marsh. Kenya Tea Packers Ketepa expanded its range of tea offerings to include cinnamon, forest fruit, pineapple, Earl Grey, mango mint, jasmine, orange, strawberry caramel, in addition to the ginger masala lemon tea, which were previously available. Purple tea is a new popular variant being grown in the Kenyan highlands, and it contains a higher percentage of polyphenols as compared to green or black tea. Polyphenols are naturally occurring antioxidants that are thought to help protect against cardiovascular diseases. The push for healthier living has been driving demand for herbal infusions, green tea, purple tea, and skimmed milk versions of black tea. This is still a wide open opportunity for Ugandan tea, as we can clearly take a leaf from our Kenyan neighbors who export their flavored and infusion teas to Pakistan, Egypt, Europe, and across Africa.
We have green tea we are making. Green tea is different from black tea. Green tea does not go through the fermentation process of the factory, meaning that it has retained all the medicinal values in it. The medicinal values which are in green tea, mainly green tea regulates chances of diabetes, heart diseases, cancer, and it even strengthens the memory. And mainly it works as the brain booster. So green tea, for it does not go that process of fermentation, and it retains the medicinal values in it. Why do we regard it as green tea? It has got a specific clone that gives it better, which is China tea. We have China tea here. As you see, for it has got smaller leaves compared to other clones of tea, meaning that for it has high medicinal values in it. And when we are picking it, we pick what is recommended. We pick 2 leaves and a bud. 2 leaves and a bud. The smaller the leaves is the high percentage of the medicinal values you will be having in the finished product when you finish processing it. So that is what we are making. So green tea is not taken for aroma, but it is taken as medicinal. So basically, that is what we are doing, and we are having this innovation. Farmers can take up this innovation. This thing has got 100 grams, and it can be sold at 10,000 Uganda shillings. Meaning that at the end of the day, if the farmer can take up this innovation, you find that the farmer is getting 100,000 from 1 kilogram. So we have come up with this innovation for farmers to take up, such that they can also make business. They can produce it and make business in the open market in the country.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Agricultural Research for Transformation. Please reach out to us on our social media platforms through Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at NARO Uganda. We would like to hear from you.